In a world addicted to speed, we rush from moment to moment, rarely stopping to ask if we're heading in the right direction. Our days blur together, overwhelmed by notifications, chasing productivity, haunted by the feeling that something essential is missing. We scroll, we strive, we perform, but do we live? What if I told you that change doesn't begin with massive overhauls, but with small intentional choices? That the clarity you're looking for, the discipline you admire, the peace you crave can begin with 12 habits practiced daily. Habits rooted not in trend, but in timelessness, not in ambition, but in wisdom. The ancient Stoics lived in chaotic times, yet through simplicity, reflection, and rigorous self-honesty, they cultivated inner stillness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." In a world spinning faster by the day, we turn to the Stoics not to escape, but to remember, to re-center. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming present. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore 12 daily practices that changed my life in just 1 week. Some are physical, some are mental. All are deeply transformative when approached with intention. If you've ever felt that your life is running you instead of the other way around, you're not alone. But change doesn't require waiting for the perfect time. It begins now, with a single breath, a single choice, a single habit. Let's begin. Number 1, gratitude, the shift that changes everything. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces available to us, and one of the most overlooked. We live in an age of abundance, yet the dominant emotion is often scarcity. We look outward and feel behind. We compare and feel small. We achieve and still feel empty. But what if the antidote to all of this was something ancient, something simple, something entirely within your control? The Stoics practiced gratitude not as a feel-good exercise, but as a form of cognitive training. Marcus Aurelius, burdened by empire and illness, reminded himself daily to appreciate what he had. He wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." Gratitude shifts the mind from chasing to choosing, from restlessness to reverence. This isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. Research shows that a daily gratitude practice rewires the brain, strengthening emotional resilience and reducing stress. When you begin the day by consciously appreciating life's smallest blessings, a warm bed, a quiet breath, a friend's message, you engage the parasympathetic nervous system. You move out of survival mode and into reflection. Here's how to begin. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for and why. Don't just say family or health. Say, "I'm grateful for my sister's laughter yesterday because it reminded me how good it feels to connect." The more specific, the more real. And when hardship strikes, which it will, use what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of loss. Ask, if this were taken from me tomorrow, how would I feel today? Gratitude expands when it's paired with awareness of impermanence. This practice does not ignore pain, it strengthens you to face it. Gratitude doesn't mean everything is good, it means you are willing to find what still is. In time, this habit becomes armor. You'll complain less, compare less, crave less, and instead, you'll notice more, appreciate more, live more. Gratitude practiced daily isn't a soft virtue, it's a spiritual stance, a stoic strength, and perhaps the first step toward everything you've been seeking. Number 2, mindfulness, finding stillness in the chaos. Mindfulness is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. In a world engineered for distraction, the ability to be fully present is nothing short of revolutionary. We check our phones over 100 times a day. We eat while scrolling, speak while thinking ahead, live while barely noticing. The Stoics warned against this. Epictetus taught, "Be not swept off your feet by the vividness of the impression." In other words, don't be ruled by your first reaction. Pause, witness, choose. Mindfulness gives you that pause. But mindfulness isn't just sitting on a cushion. It's how you wash a dish, how you walk to your car, how you listen without waiting for your turn to speak. It's not about silencing your mind. It's about observing it without judgment. Here's a simple practice. Throughout the day, return to your breath. Just one breath. Inhale slowly, exhale fully. Do this in a traffic jam, during a meeting, or while waiting in line. These are your invitations back to the present. The Stoics believe that most suffering comes not from the events of life, but from our interpretation of them. Mindfulness helps us see that. When you're present, you respond. When you're absent, you react. There is deep power in awareness. You catch the anger before it becomes a harsh word. You see the craving before it becomes a compulsion. You notice beauty before you speed past it. And beyond utility, mindfulness connects you to something greater. When you are fully here, even for a moment, you realize that this breath, this sunlight, this voice is enough. A mindful life is not a slower life. It's a fuller one lived deliberately, not automatically. One where you're no longer a victim of your habits, but the author of your days. Number 3, movement, energizing the body, awakening the mind. Your body is not separate from your mind. It is the extension of it, and how you treat your body reflects how seriously you take your life. The Stoics knew this. They didn't train for vanity. They trained for virtue. Strength, agility, and endurance were not goals. They were tools to serve, to endure, and to lead. Seneca urged discomfort. He spoke of exposing the body to cold, to fatigue, to effort, not for the sake of punishment, but for preparation, because a strong body supports a steady mind, and a steady mind makes better decisions. Modern science agrees. Regular movement isn't just about fitness, it's about mood, clarity, sleep, and even confidence. Exercises releases endorphins, lowers cortisol, and sharpens focus. It teaches discipline, consistency, and self-trust. But this habit doesn't require a gym membership or a perfect routine. What matters is not how much you do, but how often you return to it. Walk in the morning light, stretch before you sleep, do a few push-ups before your shower, dance, lift, run, breathe, move in a way that reminds you, I am alive, I am capable, and when you don't feel like it, that's when it matters most, because showing up when it's easy builds momentum, but showing up when it's hard, that builds character. Movement is not about perfect form, it's about presence, and it's not just a health practice, it's a Stoic ritual. It says, I will not let this body waste, I will not take this energy for granted, I will honor this gift by using it. Every rep, every step, every drop of sweat, it's not about the body you're building, it's about the life you're preparing for. Number 4, clarity through goals, aligning purpose with action. Drift is the most dangerous way to live, not because it's painful, but because it's comfortable, quiet. It whispers to you, just get through the day, and before you know it, a year has passed, then a decade, but the Stoics teach us something different. They teach us to live on purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you find something better than justice, truth, self-control, courage, turn to it with all your heart. But if nothing is better, hold to these things. Your goals are not chores, they are declarations. They tell the world who you are and what you value, and more importantly, they remind you every single day why you wake up. Start with this. Ask yourself, what kind of person am I becoming through my actions today? Not someday, not when you're ready. Today, break your goals down into rituals. If you want to be calm, meditate daily. If you want to be fit, train. If you want to be wise, read. And when you stumble, don't spiral. Return again and again. You're not chasing perfection. You're building a rhythm, a compass, a reason. Because when your days have direction, your nights bring peace, and your life becomes not just something you survive, but something you shape. This habit isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. And when you do what matters, the distractions lose their power, the noise quiets, and you begin to hear what you were always meant to follow, your deeper self. Number 5, meaningful relationships, building your inner circle. In a world obsessed with followers and likes, it's easy to forget what we truly crave is not attention, it's connection. Real, soul-anchoring connection. The Stoics knew this. They didn't isolate, they engaged with people who made them better. Seneca believed that friendship was one of the highest virtues, not because of how it made you feel, but because of who it helped you become. So ask yourself, who are you becoming when you're around the people closest to you? Are you more patient, more honest, more disciplined? If not, it's time to choose differently. But this isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about showing up more deeply. It's about looking someone in the eye and saying, I'm here, not distracted, not half in, I'm here. It's about sending a message just to say, I thought of you. It's about holding space for someone without trying to fix them. It's about speaking truth, even when it's uncomfortable, because real love includes accountability. And when you meet people who resonate with your values, hold on to them, nurture that connection, honor it, because in your darkest hour, it won't be your resume, your followers, or your achievements that save you. It'll be the people who show up. Choose your inner circle with the same care you choose your beliefs, because the people closest to you will either pull you toward the person you're meant to be or away from it. Build relationships that challenge you, inspire you, and remind you, you are not alone in this journey. You never were. Number 6, self-care, honoring the temple of your mind and body. There's a version of you that handles stress with grace, that speaks with clarity, that lives with energy, calm, and conviction. But you can't access that version if you're constantly exhausted, stretched thin, and ignoring your needs. The Stoics weren't martyrs. They were strategists. They knew you can't face the world wisely if you don't first return to yourself. Seneca urged deliberate rest, not as escape, but as preparation. He said, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." Self-care isn't just about bubble baths or walks in nature, though those help. It's about protecting your peace like it's sacred. Because it is, it's turning off your phone not to disconnect, but to reconnect. It's nourishing your body with food that fuels, not numbs. It's sleep, not as luxury, but as loyalty to your future self. And most of all, it's permission. Permission to step back so you can step up. Permission to say, I matter. I am allowed to protect my energy. I am allowed to recharge. This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. Because a grounded you is a powerful you. A rested you makes sharper decisions. A nourished you leads with calm. And here's the truth. When you take care of yourself, the people around you feel safer. Your presence becomes a gift, not scattered, not depleted, but whole, steady, focused. The world doesn't need more hustle. It needs more humans who've come home to themselves. Be one of them. Number 7, lifelong learning, the discipline of daily growth. If your mind isn't growing, your life is shrinking. And the most dangerous trap isn't failure, it's stagnation, the illusion that you've arrived, that you already know enough, that growth is for beginners. The Stoics rejected that lie. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, carried a simple truth into every battle and every journal entry. I know nothing, not out of self-doubt, but out of deep humility. The humility to keep learning, to stay teachable. You see, lifelong learning is not academic, it's spiritual. It's how you evolve from who you were into who you were meant to be. It means you now ask questions more often than you give answers. It means you seek wisdom, not just information. It means reading not to impress, but to integrate. Listening not to reply, but to understand. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. One page of philosophy, one deep conversation, one documentary that shifts your worldview. Learning isn't about time, it's about intention. Ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind today? What ideas am I planting? What mental muscles am I training? Because here's what no one tells you. The version of you that has more peace, more purpose, more power, that version is waiting on the other side of a book you haven't read yet, a lesson you haven't absorbed yet, a moment of humility you haven't embraced yet. Keep learning, not to be better than others, but to be better than yesterday. That's what makes you unstoppable. That's what makes you stoic. Number 8, waking up early, reclaiming the quiet hours. There is a silence in the early morning that the rest of the world will never offer you, a rare, sacred quiet before the chaos begins. Most people sleep through it, but the Stoic wakes, not out of obligation, but out of opportunity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." He didn't mean hustle, he meant intention. Waking up early isn't about joining some elite club. It's about giving your mind the chance to breathe before the demands of life pull it in every direction. It's about reclaiming time that would otherwise be lost to scrolling, rushing, reacting. Even 30 minutes of solitude can transform your entire day. Use it to journal, to stretch, to read, to stare at the sky, to ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? When you begin your day by choosing presence over panic, discipline over delay, you gain momentum, and that momentum compounds, because if you can win your morning, you can win your mind. And when your mind is centered, no amount of noise can shake it. This habit is not about productivity, it's about peace. And peace, once chosen, becomes the most productive force in your life. Number 9, daily exercise, discipline in motion. Your body is your first environment. Before you shape your world, you must shape the vessel you move through it with. And the Stoics understood this at the deepest level. They trained not for aesthetics, but for readiness. They believed a strong body prepared the soul for the storms of life. Seneca wrote, "We treat the body rigorously so that it will not be disobedient to the mind." In other words, movement trains more than muscles. It trains will, but you don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. You just need to move with intention daily, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because every workout, every walk, every push-up, every deep breath, it's a reminder that you're capable of showing up. The discipline doesn't come from motivation, it comes from motion. This habit builds more than strength, it builds self-respect. When you exercise, you send a clear message to yourself: I matter enough to show up. And when you feel strong in your body, you move through the world with quiet power. So move, not because you hate your body, but because you respect it. Not because you're chasing an image, but because you're cultivating inner fire. Discipline in motion, power in presence. Number 10, journaling, your mind on the page. Some people go their entire lives without really knowing themselves. They react, they repeat, they distract. But a Stoic sits down, even for 5 minutes, and asks, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I becoming? Journaling isn't about documenting your day, it's about decoding your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for others, but for himself, to train his focus, to challenge his thoughts, to remember what truly mattered when life got loud. And that's what your journal becomes, a sanctuary, a space where you strip away the performance, where you speak plainly, honestly, without judgment. Try this tonight. Write down 3 things. What did I do well today? What challenged me? And what will I do differently tomorrow? Over time, you'll notice patterns. You'll catch your excuses in real time. You'll see your progress, and even your setbacks will become your teachers. Journaling is how you stop being a stranger to your own life. It's how you turn passing thoughts into principles, pain into lessons, and ordinary moments into inner milestones. And the best part? No one has to read it. It's your mirror, your map, your meeting place with the deeper parts of you that the world never sees, but you need to meet again and again. Number 11, mindful eating, nourishing awareness. We live in a world that rushes everything, even meals. We eat with one hand on our phones, barely tasting the food, let alone appreciating it. And yet the Stoics would say, how you do anything is how you do everything. To eat mindfully is to return to reverence, to slow down, to honor the moment and yourself. Next time you sit down for a meal, pause, look at what's in front of you. Think about the journey it took to get there, the soil, the hands, the labor. Chew slowly, breathe between bites, and notice how much more satisfying food becomes when you're present with it. This isn't about strict diets or perfection, it's about respect for your body, for your senses, for the simple, sacred act of nourishment. Seneca warned against gluttony, not because food is evil, but because excess dulls the soul. The Stoic doesn't overindulge because they don't want to be ruled by appetite. They want to rule themselves. And here's the shift. When you practice mindful eating, you begin to carry that presence into every area of your life. You slow down your speech, you listen deeper, you react less, because when you learn to be present at the table, you're training to be present in every moment. And presence, more than any meal, is what truly feeds the soul. Number 12, reducing screen time, choosing presence over pixels. Every day, your attention is being auctioned off, not to the highest bidder, but to the loudest distraction, notifications, headlines, endlessly scrolling feeds. And without realizing it, we trade our peace for stimulation, our clarity for noise. But the Stoics teach us, guard your mind, be ruthless with your attention. Epictetus warned, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Care for your own mind. Reducing screen time isn't about rejecting technology. It's about reclaiming your sovereignty. It's remembering that your time, your life, is not infinite. And every minute you give to mindless scrolling is a minute you can never get back. Try this. Create sacred zones. No screens in the first hour of your day. None in the final hour before sleep. Remove your phone from meals, from walks, from conversations. Replace those moments with presence, with awareness, with life. The world will still be there when you return, but you'll be clearer, calmer, more connected to reality, not just to a screen. And something else happens too. When you take back your attention, you take back your creativity, your ability to reflect, to hear your own thoughts, to dream again. This isn't about guilt, it's about choice, about drawing a line and saying, my life is too important to give away to algorithms. My presence matters, my clarity matters. And in that choice, you'll find freedom, not from technology, but from being ruled by it. 12 habits, 12 anchors, 12 chances each day to come back to yourself. Gratitude reminded us to shift from chasing to appreciating. Mindfulness taught us to slow down and choose presence. Movement reconnected us to discipline, not just of the body, but of the soul. Setting goals gave us direction, aligning our actions with who we want to become. Through meaningful relationships, we discovered that we rise higher in the presence of those who reflect our values. Through self-care, we saw that rest is not a weakness, but a strategy. And lifelong learning reminded us, we are always in draft mode, always capable of becoming more. By waking early, we reclaim the quiet hours that the world forgot. Through daily exercise, we built mental toughness in motion. Journaling helped us make sense of the noise inside us. Mindful eating grounded us in gratitude for life's simplest gifts. And by reducing screen time, we turned down the volume of the world so we could hear our own voice again. These are not tricks. They are not trends. They are ancient tools, timeless, tested, and transformational, and they're yours now. But here's the truth. None of this matters unless you act. Don't try to master all 12. Start with one breath, one walk, one honest journal entry. Let it root into your life. Let it shift something real, then build from there. This isn't about perfection. It's about participation, about waking up each day and deciding again and again to live with intention. If these words stirred something in you, you're not alone. You're part of a growing community that believes in quiet strength, in deep thought, in slow and steady growth. Subscribe to the Stoic Code and take this journey with us. Share your reflections in the comments. What habit are you beginning? What spoke to your heart? We grow stronger together, and your insight might be the seed that helps someone else bloom. Thank you for being here, for thinking deeply, for choosing change. Now go live these ideas, not as theory, but as truth, one choice at a time, one habit at a time. And remember, as Epictetus wrote, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do.